afternoon. My name is Mayra and I'm here to introduce you guys to the game I have created called America's Next Speaker. So in this presentation, we'll go through a brief introduction and then through all the components of the game, such as equipment, setup, gameplay, and scoring as well. And with that, the game I wanted to create, I wanted to address one of the biggest challenges in the course technical communications, which I believe to be speeches. And the reason I feel like students are not comfortable with giving presentations is just the fact that, you're up here, you have the eyes of the entire audience on you, and you're just not comfortable with the spotlight, and you're not used to the pressure or the stress that it creates. So I got this idea off of American Idol and America's Got Talent, where the contestants are basically in a similar situation. All right, and then this game is also accompanied by the Oculus VR2 headset, which includes voice interaction as well as eye tracking, and it monitors the student's position during the presentation as well, and it just creates this awesome virtual reality. So once the student puts on the headset, they're right in there on stage with the bright lights, and the audience are waiting for their speech. All right, so now that we have discussed the brief introduction, I'd like to go on to equipment. And like I said earlier, each student will need an Oculus VR2 headset. And also, this is kind of how it looks like. So here's front side and the inside as well. And then there'll be just a brief modification. So right here, we'll have an earpiece. So then that way, it will cancel out the noise made by the other students and allow the student just to be focused on their own virtual reality. And also, you'll need a CD with the software for the instructor. And then moving on from the equipment to the setup, like I said earlier, the instructor will need to download the software. Also, a lot of the settings are very customizable, such as scoring, which we'll discuss later on. Okay, so now we can finally get into gameplay, which will include, and start off with, students just spreading out across the room. Like I said earlier, they will have that earpiece that'll cancel out the noise made by the other students, so they don't have to be too far apart. All right, and then once they put on the headset, they have that turn on button right off to the side, which will be kind of by their cheekbone. And it'll pop up with this screen, such as will ask for the username and passwords that will be given by the instructor. And once they sign in, they'll have this setting right here, which is the default, and it's more of like an auditorium kind of setting. But for example, if the instructor would like to change that and make it more of a workplace environment, such as, let's say, a business meeting, you can change that setting to a conference room. All right, and then moving on, lastly, we have scoring. And once again, scoring is based a lot about the instructor as well. We have a bunch of categories which compiles the composite score. So some of the default ones we have are physical movement, eye contact, counter, as well as stopwatch. And so beginning with physical movement, what we mean by that is basically pacing the room. For example, obviously it has to be at a moderate pace, and it's just really just to engage the audience from one end to the other. And quite frankly, when you're just standing still like a statue, it's way too easy for the audience just to tune you out, all right? So that's why you have to kind of pace the room. And then eye contact. The key part of eye contact is just so that way you can watch for the crowd reactions. And in this game, the crowd will react to how the student is doing. So for example, if the student is speaking too softly, the crowd will actually lean in and kind of give their ear towards them so that the student realizes what they're doing wrong, and they have a chance to improve in the moment, which is, quite frankly, a key aspect of good speakers, is being able to be flexible and modify your speech as you go along. Also, we have the counter, which is, for example, when you get stuck and you have no idea what to say next. These are the filler words that start flying out of your mouth first. And so that will just help the student to become more prepared for when they're actually giving their speech, and it will also help with fluency as well. Stopwatch is basically just saying, the time that you have with the audience is very limited. The amount of time that they're actually going to be focused in and paying on what you're saying is limited, so you have to take advantage of that time. All right, and like I said earlier, you can add or delete categories as you wish, and each category is based on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 meaning you need some improvement, 10, you got this. And just a little side note on that, for example, if the instructor would like to use this as like an overall final presentation, we suggest adding a lot of categories to have the whole overview of the performance. But if a student really needs, let's say, help with filler words, then you can just have a category called counter. Just put that one on there. And with that being said, we've covered all the aspects of the game so far, and I'd like to thank you for your time and attention. answer any questions at this moment.